Secretly recorded from deep inside the bowels of a decommissioned missile silo, we bring you the man, one single man who wants to bring light to the darkness and dark to the lightness. Although he's not always right, he is always certain. So now, with security protocols in place, the protesters have been forced back behind the barricades and the blast doors are now sealed. Without further delay, let me introduce you to the host of Hutcast, Mr. Tim Hutner.
Thank you, Sergeant at Arms. You can now take your post.
The views and opinions expressed in this program are solely those of the individual and participants. These views and opinions expressed do not represent those of the host or the show. The opinions in this broadcast are not to replace your legal, medical, or spiritual professionals. Welcome to Hutcast. Today, 7/26/25. We'll drop this episode tomorrow at about it's 7 in the morning. We have a very special guest today. And this guest is an author, a speaker, a survivor, Rick Hill. Rick, are you there?
I'm here. Thank you. Looking forward to this.
Okay, Rick. We just pretty informal, straight to the point. Say it like you feel it. Have a conversation, and we got to take a break to begin with. We'll get to our sponsors, and then we'll come back and do our thing. Are you ready for the show?
So I jump off the phone. Is that what I'm doing?
Nope. You're just going to stay right there. I'm just doing the editing.
Okay. There you go.
Okay. Standby group. Hutcast will be back in just a second. We're going to have a conversation. And I think you need to pay attention just a little bit to what's going on here. So stand by, Hutcast. We'll be right back. The current healthcare system is not meeting the needs of real people. People are demanding better care, better options, and want results. So Gareth Care has launched and is advocating for those in the U.S. and internationally, as people are realizing the controlled system has not been there for them. If you want your own independent advocate that is not controlled by big corporations, call or text and enroll today to get your advocate for your needs, serving all ages. For any healthcare needs you might have, you matter. Here's how you get started. www.garethcare.com. That is GRAITHCARE.com. Call Gareth Care Direct at 469-864-7149. Call or text the questions to Healthcare Sucks and get an advocate with Gareth Care. 469-864-7149. Mention Hutcast and you will get an additional 10% discount on your first advocacy bundle. The staff at Gareth Care will take care of you. Remember, mention Hutcast and get that extra 10% off your first bundle of time. And this is all brought to you from Gareth Care. All right, welcome back to Hutcast. So on the show, if you've listened to me for any amount of time, we have these special guests, these guests that come in and they rock your world. They tell you things that you didn't know and you probably should know. Everybody knows that I'm a big 2A amendment supporter, freedom of speech guy, but I'm also a common sense guy. And we have here, again, Rick Hill, the author, speaker, a survivor of things he's going to tell us that we should probably be paying attention to. Rick, can you hear me okay?
I can. It's great. Thank you.
So, first of all, there's some things that we want to know about you. Where'd you come from? What did you do? How did you do? I mean, how'd you make your money? The whole things in life. Let's get that away at our first question. Who are you?
I'm a guy that went to seminary. I was the principal at a Christian day school in New Ulm, Minnesota. Had my life all mapped out. Newly married, about a year. My wife was just expecting our first child, and hey, rewards. And then I got a tumor.
Oh boy.
And I went to the doctor. They shipped me around to different guys. One guy was a little sharper than the others, and he said, look, I've seen this before. I think you need to go to the Mayo Clinic. You're not far from me. It's a 2 or 3 hour drive. And I'll make an appointment, and you go, So I show up, they run me through the ring, and then the surgeon comes in and says, we need to do some surgery. It's going to be extensive because it's exploratory. They didn't have scans back then.
Oh, boy.
1974,
Okay.
50 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah. So to give you the cliff notes, I did 8.5 hours. They did 8.5 hours of surgery. They operated even on my neck. They found cancer. They operated on my feet. They found cancer. And after this lengthy surgery, they just closed me all up. And when I came to, they said, it's everywhere. It's in your lymphatic system. And it's going to be hard to stop. But we've got some chemo. We'll take a run at it, not sounding altogether positive. And so I had made up my mind that in about 3 days I was going to start chemo and probably lose my life quickly.
Yeah.
But here's where the story gets interesting. This is that opening incident that changes the rest of your life. So, we're going to jump into Act 2 pretty quickly here.
Okay.
I got a letter with a 10-cent stamp on it. And I opened it up. It was from a guy I knew. He was a Baptist pastor, but he was also a John Bircher. I don't know if you've been around long enough to know who that is, but it's go ahead.
I don't know the name, no.
Okay. It's kind of like MAGA on steroids.
Oh.
All right. Very conservative group. And he used to come to our college and speak in chapel. And he would do the first 20 minutes on politics, which was not like our association.
Right.
And, me and the other illumined ones would sit with our arms folded, rolling our eyes. Okay, we're going to get out of the UN. Gotcha. Now tell us something that we came to hear,
Right.
This guy wrote me. And it just said, and this is all that was on the paper. If you want to live, you're going to have to leave the Mayo Clinic.
Wow.
John.
Wow.
I know. And I looked around the room to see, did anybody else read this? And this is crazy town.
So you're in shock.
I called him. I had his number, and I called him up and I said, John, I'm at the citadel of modern medicine, and I've got good insurance. What are you thinking? He said, well, I agree with that. It is the citadel of modern medicine. But it's not medicine you need at this point. I said, why not? He said, well, how are you doing? I said, you've been talking to somebody I know.
Oh, right.
And I said, well, what do you want me to do, John? Come on, cut to the chase. He said, well, you're going to have to leave the Mayo Clinic. You're going to fly into San Diego. I thought, okay, nothing wrong with that. But then, and he said, then you're going to get on a bus and go to Tijuana.
Oh.
I said, my whole family's here. They flew in to say goodbye, see who gets a gold watch. And I said, you want me to tell them, wait a minute. What are they going to give me in Tijuana?
Right.
That I can't get here? He says, are you sitting down? I thought, oh no, this gets worse by the second. I said, yeah, John, I'm seated. I can hardly stand up after the surgery I've had. He says, it's a derivative of apricots.
Huh.
I said, so tonight after dinner, you want me to address my family and say I'm leaving the Mayo Clinic, going to Tijuana, and they're going to give me apricots. I suppose this is an IV? He said, yeah. Whew. I said, John, let me hang up and call the chemotherapist. So I hung up. I called the Mayo Clinic. He came to the phone because I was, a guy that was nearly dead. Weighed 120 pounds.
Oh, boy.
And I'm 5'9".
Okay.
So I got him on the phone and I said, here's what's going on. I told him the story. And I expected he'd cuss me out, tell me how stupid I am, because my family did. And he says, well, it is warm in Tijuana this time of year. I know. And I looked at him, my mouth dropped open, and I said, message delivered. I appreciate your honesty. Thank you. And I got up and left the office. Went home, told my family what he said, went around the room, and everybody, my brother, Sam Hill, if you can believe that, he says to me, Ricky, if you go to Tijuana, I will never speak to you again. And I said, Sam, I don't think you're going to have a choice. And I got to my father-in-law, and he stood up from the table and said, I like it. I will take him down there, and I will put money into this. Well, game over.
Sure. Right.
I pointed at him. I said, deal. And 2 days later, Tim, we left for Tijuana. And I went down the rabbit hole because I grew up a Detroit greaser with the Fonzie hair, the leather jacket, the whole thing. And there was no health food store near me.
Right.
We didn't have manicured golf courses and clay tennis courts where I lived. Nothing, it was Piggly Wiggly type stuff.
Sure.
So I didn't know what to do. We went to a health food store when we first got down there to try and find something we could eat because they had sent me a diet sheet. And I've never been in a place like this. Now, this is the 70s, not like what you have here today.
Right.
So I don't know what's clinging here, but I hope that's it.
That's all right. No worries.
We go in this place, Ravi Shankar music playing in the background. I immediately see I'm the only one in the building wearing any underwear. And people are filching stuff out of barrels. And I just thought, I don't blend. I don't know what I've done here. And I would ask your listeners, do you think you have to blend to get success? Do you have to believe ahead of time to get success? I hear that all the time. My wife got on the airplane with me. Can you imagine they let people do that then?
Okay.
She told the lady at the counter, my husband's dying. He's going to that. Can I get on the plane and just say goodbye? And she got on. We're both crying. I looked at her and I said, sweetie pie, I think it's a one-way ticket. Apricots?
Right. So now my question is, at what point of this whole deal was the moment you knew that you were going to leave? Was it because of the money, or was it because you had no light on this side of the tunnel?
I call it road signs. The first one was the Baptist pastor, John.
Okay. Yeah.
Here's a guy that had never spoken a word to me in my life, writes me a personal note and sticks his nose in my business. So I thought to myself, that's not only gutsy, he must really believe in this to tell a dying man, you got to leave, your only hope. So I thought, I got to at least check this out. Second road sign, the chemotherapist.
Right. The temperature.
It's warm in Tijuana. What is that? What he was saying was, really, Rick, between us girls, we can't help you. I don't think Tijuana is going to help you, but if you want to lay on the beach and sip tequila, okay, fine. Do what you want to do at this point of the problem.
Okay.
And then the third one was my father-in-law, who a very successful person, had a big contracting company, heavy equipment. And he said, I want you to do this. He said, if you stay at the Mayo Clinic, you're toast. I don't know maybe he was a John Birch guy. I don't know. But those were three things that sort of pushed me screaming through the threshold of faith. But I hear these people say, in order for something to work, you gotta believe in your heart that it's, and you're in a seminar and it goes on, and you buy their book, and I don't think so. I think if there are road signs that you see and it's logical and it's based on some research, and it is. There was a Dr. John Beard in the 1920s that wrote extensively on this. He called it the trophoblastic theory of cancer.
Sure.
He got it because of working with pregnant women. They came into my hospital room at the Mayo Clinic and said, got some interesting news for you. I said, go. He said, you're pregnant. I said, and this was before woke. I said, I don't think so. And he said, no, your urine checks out to have a lot of HGC and human chorionic gonadotropin. And all pregnant women have an excess of that.
Right, right.
And some cancers produce that, the germ cell ones like you have. And I said, okay, well, I don't want to deliver a baby, so let's get this done. And so there was that information that there was actually a guy properly degreed who thought this was a good idea. And then following him in about the 1940s was a Dr. Ernst Krebs. And his research was really good about B17. People think about B17 with this more than they think about the enzymes.
Okay, you're jumping to my next question now. Hold on.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
You were going through this verbatim as of my questions. So,
okay.
Were you ever afraid of the risks involved in rejecting the traditional chemotherapy, radiation, and especially given your severity of diagnosis?
I think the chemotherapist tipped his hat. And he said, if you stay here, it's not going to matter.
Sure.
And so where would I rather die? I'd rather go down fighting than just to take this guy's secret and secretly believe it too. I just thought, if there's a chance, and the next little bit I've got to say will finalize that in your mind.
Gotcha.
You got another question, or you want me to jump in?
Well, now it segues into my number 3 questions. How did the lateral vitamin B17 and the nutrition play a role in your recovery? Because it sounds like you were ready to go there.
Yeah, I was in bad shape. I was 120 pounds. I was on morphine when I left the Mayo Clinic. Wow. I'm seeing pink elephants, man.
Right. You can smell. You can smell color. Right.
Holy cow. I mean, I'm like humming all the time. And so when I got down there, they gave me a diet sheet that was real simple, 80% raw, organic fruits and vegetables. Boring as all get out, but really good. And then they wanted me to detox. And so I had my first appointment that day. I met Dr. Contreras, the father that's passed now, but his son took the clinic. And he puts me on his bench, opens my shirt, and starts frowning. And I said, Doc, I'm fuzzy on a frown here today. Did I make a mistake? Should I go back home? What do you think? Come on, it's Rick. He says, none of this had to happen, Rick. None of it. If somehow we could have got to you 2 months ago, none of this surgery, none of this painkiller, nothing. And he said, but that leads me to a good question, because you're really sick. You are. You're in bad shape. So will you do what we ask you to do without question? I said, well, Doc, I don't know, man. What if part of it is hanging from my toenails or something? I don't know what you're going to.
Open question.
And he says, no, I'm an MD. I worked in Boston at the Children's Hospital. I don't have a shade tree operation. We're the real deal. But this is participatory medicine we do here. I can't succeed without your help. This isn't something we do to you. This is something we do with you. If you don't help me, we'll fail. You and me. So what's it going to be? And I thought, wow, I got no such speech at the Mayo Clinic. It was roll your sleeve up. We're giving it to you. And, when right after all that surgery, they gave me white bread, Jell-O, and 7-Up. So
yum.
If the cancer wasn't going to kill me, their diet would. So, I just thought, yes, I'll do it. I'm in. All in, 100%. Let's go. And so the next day, the nurse comes in. She says, we need to start your detox. And I said, how do we do that? She said, well, you're going to get a 3-gram injection of B17, which is a derivative of the apricot kernel, which is high in nitrilicide and even has cyanide in it, but not at levels. The FDA said, it'll kill you.
Right.
I took 6 grams in one day. I had no negative side effects at all. Nothing. Didn't even get nauseated. And so she gave me that, and then she gave me the enzymes that I was really, I'd read Dr. Beard's work. The cancer cells are coated in a protein, and that enzyme dissolves the protein. So when your immune system floats by, they go, look, over there, get them. Otherwise, with that protein on there, they don't see it. I thought that was interesting. And that's based on how a mother stops that rapid cell division in the second month of gestation. Her pancreas produces chymotrypsin, lots of it. The mother lives, the baby lives, it's a happy ending. But now as an adult, I'm not attached to an umbilical cord. There's nobody giving me these enzymes. So I went someplace where they knew that, and they gave them to me. And I'm still taking them even today, but a little bit.
Right.
And so she gives me that, and then she's holding a hose. And she says, I said, well, what's that for? She says, have you ever changed the water in the radiator of your car? And I thought that was a silly question. I said, well, yeah. She said, how'd you do it? And I told her. And she says, exactly. And I said, where does the hose go? And even today, I cringe when I think about the answer. But they wanted to teach me how to do colonics. Now, not a day at the beach.
Yeah, right.
Okay, Tim? This is not what hey, it's Saturday. Let's go get a colonic. No. But they don't hurt, and they're not really that embarrassing. And when Elvis died, they said he had 40 pounds of undigested matter in his colon. He just wasn't going to the bathroom.
Sure.
And you meet people that say, well, I go about once a week. I'm good.
Yeah.
No, you're not. You know, what does a baby do? Every time it feeds, it goes. So they had to retrain my gut. And so they gave me the B17, they gave me the enzymes, and finally, there's just three things. And then they gave me pangamic acid, which is vitamin B15, which Muhammad Ali used to take before a fight because it really oxygenates the system. And cancer is not that crazy about oxygen. So that, I know it's simplistic, and I know your listeners are saying, well, come on, that's it? But 3 weeks I did that. Just what I said for 21 days. And in that 21 days, Tim, my color started coming back. No more pink elephants. The pain subsided, and I could stand up, straight up, and walk. And I thought, this is like something out of a cartoon.
Right.
No one, if I get home, no one's going to believe this. Nobody. And even today, to be honest with you, if I'm on an airplane, well, tell me about you, Rick. I think I don't dare.
This flight ain't that long, right?
Oh, and they're not going to believe it. They're going to go, okay, thank you. All right, let me get to my book.
Yeah. It's chapter 1.
Yep.
Well, that's an incredible story. That's an incredible story. I tell you what, we are 21.18 into this first segment. Let me take a break, and when we come back, I'd like to talk about the life after recovery.
There you go.
Because you finished up my third question, excellent, with the B17. And then, let's go into that. So stand by for Hudcast. We're going to take a quick break and come back, and let's hear the rest of this. So stand by.
This grilling season, take your taste buds to the next level. The sauce that'll change your barbecue forever. O. Eddie's Whiskey Bourbon Sauce is going to be at the Anoka County Fair. O. Eddie's Whiskey Bourbon Sauce is all about that split second when the tender meat and delectable sauce touches your taste buds. Don't believe me? Chef Richard Cooper is bringing O. Eddie's Whiskey Bourbon Sauce to the Anoka County Fair so you can taste it and become a believer yourself. O. Eddie's Whiskey Bourbon Sauce, the sauce that's worth the wait.
Welcome back to Hudcast. Rick Hill is with us. We have left the last segment before our break, and we're going to talk about a whole different meaning, a different avenue. It's called life after recovery. After beating cancer, you went on to achieve remarkable things, Rick. You authored a book. You co-invented an air purifier, which is selling over 50 million. Is that correct?
Yeah, we got lucky. I co-patented it, and we took it to a great big company, and we sold 50 million our first year. So that was my home run.
How did your experience with cancer shape your drive to success? Because that's, everybody wants to know how now.
Whether you knew it or not, and I'm inclined to think you did know it, you have hit on the most important part of this conversation.
Okay, what is that?
And that is that remission is misunderstood. I see it all the time on Facebook. Cancer people say, I'm cancer free. I got my certificate. We're having a remission party this Saturday, bringing champagne, chocolate cake. I dodged that bullet. And then 3 months later, they're on Facebook going, I can't believe what I just heard. I am full of tumors again. Oh. Because when the cancer comes back, it comes back like a lion.
Yep.
And if I could give your listeners one little piece of free advice, it's this. Make a lifetime commitment to this. The cancer wants to live like every other cell in your body. And it's going to hunt, it's going to change, it's going to do what it can do. But if you I take all the things that I took, but much less of it now.
Okay.
Way more. Like I'll only take.
This call will be recorded.
I'll only take, one Laetrile tablet. I'll eat some of the apricot seeds, maybe 6, and I take the enzymes at 10 and 2 every day. Because I'm not trying to digest food with it. I'm trying to get rid of that protein coating. And then I take some B15, but a little bit. I mean, a 3-month supply is like $40. I mean, it's nothing. But people won't do that. They want to go back to the life they were living when they got sick. They want to go drinking Friday night. They want to eat crap food.
Yeah.
And when they do that, they're kicking the door open for round 2. But I guarantee you round 2 is worse than round 1. So I believed that when I left Tijuana. And I started shopping in the health food stores. I had to drive 40 miles to get to one. But I made the changes in my life. And I felt good. And I looked okay and the whole thing. And that kind of gave me that impetus to try new things. I was not voted the most likely to succeed as a kid. I stuttered badly. Honestly, I never got above a C- or a D my entire, post-college career, pre-college career.
Yeah.
And I was not the guy you'd pick out of the line. You'd say, oh, he's going to make it. Yeah. No. But this experience taught me that I can learn something new, get good at it, and succeed wildly. And me, who stuttered for most of his life, I became a professional speaker, president of the Florida Speakers Association. People now would pay money to hear me talk.
Nice.
And this one little thing led to the next. And I tried new things with the confidence that I'm Lazarus. I walked out of the tomb totally well, and that I might be able to do that a few more times during my life. So it was preparatory, without a doubt. I'm probably a better guy because I went through it, but I don't know.
Sure. Well, you've been a strong advocate.
Like an eraser. What?
You've been a strong advocate for a transparency and choice in cancer treatments. What changes would you like to see the medical community regarding the alternative therapies?
Well, that's exactly where it's got to start. Bobby Kennedy, the first time he ran across that stage at the RNC convention, I turned to my lady and said, "That's a Kennedy." Like, what's going
Democrat
on
Kennedy.
in this world?
Sure.
Yeah. And and he's got 2 good things. He says he wants freedom of choice. He doesn't have to agree with me. He doesn't have to sign a thing that says Laetrile really works. I had to smuggle Laetrile out of Tijuana. I had an underwear full of tablets when I walked across that border.
Oh boy.
And I'm not a smuggler. I'm a grandpa that you think probably barbecues a lot if you saw me.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I just don't look like a tough guy. But Bobby said that he would work on freedom of choice. And then the second thing is he wants to revamp medical school and have organic nutrition to be a mainstay in the curriculum. Doesn't mean they don't do drugs, doesn't mean they don't do surgery, but most doctors, you sit down and you talk to them, they are clueless. I mean, they go down to the drugstore and get some vitamin C and you won't get sick anymore. It's that kind of thing.
Right.
Not a word about your diet, not a word about food combinations, nothing.
Okay.
So, if he does that, kudos. Trump picked right on that one.
Right. But not that I'm a big Obama supporter, but the only intelligent thing I ever heard of come out of his mouth was, I thought change would be easier. This was on the Jay Leno show, and I'm listening to this guy thinking, it's not my pick. I mean, but I can ride both sides of the fence here. And he said that, and it rang a bit of truth. Obama actually rang some truth in my head. And I said, that makes a lot of sense. Because, he's going to come in and change and all the political promises and all that crap. Now, Trump's only got his second 4 years, 2.0. Is Kennedy going to be around long enough to even enable these? And to segue, what was your experience like in the Oasis Hospital? And how did it differ from traditional medical care? Now, Oasis, I suppose, is the south of the border one. Is that correct?
Yes, Tijuana,
okay.
Right next to the bull ring at the ocean. So now, you never forget that when you drive down there and there's a bull ring.
Yeah, they
across the street.
They don't have any planning like they do in the cities here, but I get you. But it's incredible how you would do that. I mean, is he going to have enough time to make this change, the Kennedy?
I agree with him 100%, Obama, on this issue, because I know this sounds counterintuitive, but I think it was easier for me to make the changes because the threat level was high. The guy that struggles, the lady that struggles with change, are the ones that are trying to lose 15 pounds and get off of diabetes medicine. They don't think of it as life-threatening. Nothing's pressing them against the wall. And for me, I was playing with fire.
Yeah.
So I agree with it. Change is hard. And I opened the segment by saying, how many people have I seen die on Facebook because they were unwilling to extend the change? Sure, they did it when they were at a clinic. But they got home and there was all those cupcakes in the cupboard and the Coca-Colas and all that stuff. And then they bought all this food that's grown with, the Roundup and,
Yeah, the Monsanto crew. Yeah.
Oh, geez. Bring back the gallows. I'm telling you. It's termination by sophistication.
Well, you get in that road. I mean, that's your life. You don't. How do you change when you change? But you had to. Had to. Or die. Right.
And, people come up to me after a seminar and they say, you guys make me sick. And I said, oh, I'm sorry, but why? Well, because you act like if we ever go to McDonald's, we're not even going to heaven. I said, I never said that. I said, and I don't believe it. In fact, I think you're going to get there quicker.
Try the veal. We're here all week.
So, it's hard, but kudos and hats off to the 55-year-old lady or guy that says, I'm going to revamp my life because I want to be here for my grandkids into my 80s and be able to walk them in the park.
Right.
You're not going to get there by eating what you're eating now and doing what you're doing now. You gotta wake up and smell the coffee, organic coffee, I hope.
Yeah.
But clearly it's change and boring change. Can you imagine? I did this strict diet for 5 years. I mean, didn't cheat. Can you imagine in the 5th year when I bellied up to the table and said, let's see, vegetable salad or fruit salad? Yeah, no, okay, we'll go with fruit now. I mean,
Right.
I'd hold my head and I'd say, this is for a good cause. And it tastes good. I'm glad to have it, but man, I want a slice of pizza.
Right. Well, you also have to understand that the listeners here, this worked for Rick. Your particular situation might not work, and you need to explore these options for yourself. Rick has not given his opinion on what you should do. He's given his opinion on what worked for him. Is that correct, Rick?
That's correct. And that's why I threw in a couple of references to do a little research, so that they get drug across the threshold of faith.
Yeah.
Kicking and screaming.
And books and legacy. You had a book, Too Young to Die, and the Cancer Conundrum.
Yeah. Too Young to Die is better. It's funnier. It's cheaper. I tell all these stories that I've told on your show, and it's a story of hope. It ends with Reepicheep the mouse from Chronicles of Narnia. And that's what people need. They need a cheerleader that says, look, I did this. It was 50 years ago. I'm not guaranteeing anything's going to work, but I am saying it worked for me. And here's a roadmap to it. It's 100 pages long. What do you want to do?
Well, yeah, right. So when go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, they can get these 3 things that I talked about. And my book, if they'll log on to Richardson Nutritional Store, rncstore.com, in the little magnifying glass research, just type Rick, my first name.
Sure.
And a package will come up that's discounted, and it's good for 3 months, and they get a free book.
Nice.
I can't do more than that. They're not interested if that's not a good idea. But you even extend an additional discount for your listeners if they will type HUTT, like HUTT, cast, CAST. And that's generous. A 10% discount over and above my discount is a good deal.
And a caveat to that is, P.S., HUTCast does not make anything on this situation. If you do a HUTCast buy and they take that savings and apply it to your account, any of that money, if it goes anywhere, will not go to this show. It'll go to a charity of their choosing, not mine. So I want to make that ultra clear, because we're not in this for the money. That's
generous. That is generous. So, yeah, it's a good deal, and I believe in all 3 of the products that obviously they saved my life, and they're not expensive, and they're easy to take. No more injection. When you want to treat cancer, long before it starts.
What happens? So now you're on my next question. You're like a roadmap. I got you, man. I got you. So you're 50 years cancer-free. And someone newly diagnosed with cancer is going to have this emotional trauma. What would you tell them when you're feeling so overwhelmed with this? What would be your first... Here's from the gut. I've lived this.
It was something I mentioned about a third of the way through when I said your listeners are going to hear somebody that says, unless you believe. And I say, do the research. It'll only take you a few days. And then follow your gut. If it sounds good and it sounds better than what you're doing now, or especially if they told you that, your chances aren't too good.
Yeah.
Then follow your heart. But commit. Don't keep 1 foot in Egypt and 1 foot in Israel. Don't do that.
Right.
Make up your mind where you're going and go. And your friends you'll lose friends. I mean, they call me up and they say, hey, we're going for shots and pizza tonight. Do you want to go? No, my doctor took me off that stuff. Oh yeah, that's right. You went down the rabbit hole. Well, I'm sorry, And my own family, they disowned me for a period of time. And sometimes you gotta go it alone. But you don't have to gin up and believe something You have to just do something, but have it based on real, make sure there's a little research behind it or a lot, and that it worked for other people. I got a lady on my Facebook that was down there the same time I was that had brain cancer.
No, boy.
And it spread to her spine. And she's now in Key West, Florida, getting too much sun with too many grandkids. So I'm not your only guy. There's thousands of people out there like me that got good results. But you know what, Tim? They don't want to talk about it.
Sure.
That's
the way it is.
Yeah.
They just want to keep it inside.
Yep. They don't want to tell somebody I had cancer.
Yeah, I get that. I do get that.
Yeah.
And they don't want to bother somebody else with their problems. And, how did they say it? A friend of mine once said, when you're hearing something about somebody's medical problems, you're so glad that it's theirs and not yours. And you're just, that's not the compassionate way to do this, but it's the truth. I mean, I'm sure
it's human nature. Yeah.
I'm so glad it's you, not me, but I don't know. Right?
Well, they should pretend
compassion
that they're going to get this diagnosis, and it's a 1 in 2 chance now. Thank you for
50%
turbo cancer.
Wow.
But the point I'm making is if they'll start now and buy the little pack that's called prevention, then they're treating cancer that may be future. But now, while there's no bonfire, and that's what's smart. That's a good investment. That's using your noggin instead of, well, if I get cancer, I'll find out where Rick is and I'll call him.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
Why wait? That's my question.
Well, you do know that it's way cheaper to eat crappy than it's cheaper to eat holistic. What do you say to those people? You get a lot of people that listen to the show, and I don't know their financial situation. They could be on a WIC program. They could be on state assistance, whatever that is. And I can buy a 12-pack of ding-dongs cheaper than I can buy a holistic head of lettuce. You see where I'm going with that?
Yeah, but I think there's a fallacy in that if you're comparing apples with apples, figure out what you paid for that bag of chips and how much did it weigh and how much is in it.
Yeah.
And then but I agree. I think it's abusive that they'll say, well, we're not going to put chemicals in this food you're buying, so we'll charge you more.
Right.
What? It didn't put them in there, And they always, and RFK does this all the time. He'll hold up an American product of, let's say, Fruit Loops.
Yeah.
Then he'll hold up a European box of Fruit Loops. He'll say, the European box has 4 ingredients. The American box has 20.
Yeah, dissertation on the side of it. Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah. And that's what I want to get rid of. And I wholeheartedly agree. But we're being charged more for the box without it.
Yep.
if there is one in there in the store. And that's got to change.
Fundamentally wrong, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now, I get it if it's products to market sooner because it's perishable sooner. You have trucking costs. I mean, the whole chain of things. I get it takes time. And time is money. But if you can get to market cheaper for a non-GMO something, wouldn't it make sense to do that instead of sucking in all these chemicals? Because in our daily lives, we've talked to a number of doctors on this show, and they want light therapy, and I've talked to a lot of guys.
Yeah.
But, sometimes you just got to pump the brakes and go, whoa, why am I paying more for less?
Well, Tim, you're the hope of the future, and I don't mean that as a glib compliment. I mean it. The fact that I'm talking to you without fear of being arrested, without fear of my bank account being grabbed,
punished,
means we're making progress.
Yes,
and you're part of the solution.
Well, I let people know, right? You're letting them know.
Kudos to you.
Yeah,
you probably let 100,000 people know today what happened to me, or I don't know how big you're.
45 million in lease plus. And that's worldwide. That's worldwide.
All right.
120 countries, dude. Right. So there's gonna, you're gonna get out there.
All right. I appreciate it, but more kudos to you then, because you could use that kind of clout, not for good. You could get Big Pharma to pay you big money with that audience.
Or to just shut up,
the next vaccine, or
yeah,
and you're doing the right thing. So
that wouldn't feel right, though. It wouldn't feel right.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, there's sometimes there's common sense, and one of my big things on the show is common sense is still got to be around somewhere. Now, you say you were from Minneapolis, right? At one time.
I was living in New Ulm, Minnesota. Probably no one's heard of that. It's a little Harold Laffemacher and the Six Fat Dutchmen.
Okay.
Was the best band they ever had. So that gives you a flavor.
You're paying attention to what's going on here politically in the state?
Yeah, yes, I am.
And did you see the new mayor for Minneapolis?
Who is that?
We got Omar against what's the incumbent? Jacob Fry.
Yeah.
I'm not in Minneapolis. I'm an underground bunker, far away from that crap as I could possibly get. And they have this new thing going on. Now, we all knew that the Dems were going to start beating each other up. It was just when. Now, in our state, which is a kind of a mental state, when we have these things going on in the world and we don't want them in our state, you've got the left beating up the far left and vice versa. So now we've got...
Well, when I lived there, we had to deal with Hubert H. Humphrey.
Oh, sure. Well, it wasn't quite that radical then.
No, it wasn't.
So now we've got...
Today,
it's incredible. Not that I want to pull politics in this conversation, but my point is, sometimes you can't make this stuff up. And the truth is more radical than what you can fathom. So sometimes pump the brakes.
Who's the idiot that says you're not going to own anything but be happy?
Yeah. I mean, wasn't that Stalin?
Well, originally.
Yeah.
But now this, these guys are smoking something. And the population thing, I read a little book when I was in seminary called The Myth of Overpopulation by a theologian named Rushdoony. And I'm telling you, I heard Elon Musk do a podcast the other day, and he says, we're in trouble. He said, we don't have enough people in China or Japan or here in order to maintain civilization. He said, it's reaching dangerous. And if you fly a lot, look out the window. Half the country's empty. They're all packed into New York and California and, that Texas. But if you fly over the country and it's almost dark, look out the window. Unbelievable.
It is, isn't it?
We got room. Come on in.
So if we were to look forward, in this. We've talked our little bit of politics here, and we know that I think we're on the same page. If we were to look forward, what's next in your mission to inspire, to educate others, the alternative cancer treatments? I mean, can we get a glimpse on what's going on next with you?
I'm going to do two things. I'm going to change my speech, my little PowerPoint.
Okay.
And I'm going to talk about connecting the dots. Analyze your life right now. Do you see anything that should be avoided in the future? And now is the time to take the good steps so it never really happens.
Kind of like a Dead Doctors Don't Lie program.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Prevention. And that, instead of me getting up and saying, if you've got cancer, I know how to get it, look what happened to me. And I'm switching gears and saying, wouldn't it be nice if we could get to a place in our society like the Hunzes that lived to be 120, 130 years old, no cancer, teeth are all there, eyesight,
You can see, you can pee, you can do all that, right?
It's available.
Okay.
But not with our current approach and education. And I need to be a part of that.
Interesting. Very, very courageous of you.
Well, all of a sudden I thought, I'm trying to reach people with cancer, and I thought, what are the odds? The odds are really a lot better to take people in their youth and say, here's how you never had to deal with that garbage. You know?
I think our youth is confused on where they should go bathroom.
It would never occur to me to think it's a great thing to go into a ladies' room. In fact, when I was in France as an exchange student, they had these outdoor biffies that you had to pay a few, a little bit of money to get into. And I sat down in one of them. I looked over, and there's a lady with her nylons rolled down next to me. It was not interesting.
So awkward.
I couldn't wait to get out of there, So I don't get it. I mean, I'm just not designed that way, I guess.
A difference in, upbringing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we look at things differently. I mean, I'm 58. I spent most of my life in my own room. It's my own world. So you build it, you develop it, you do it. And some of these people's kids, it's incredible, isn't it?
I don't know where it comes from. Well, I don't want to get political, and I'll stop. But I had
okay. You're on the right show.
I had 4 vaccines the entire time I grew up.
Okay.
Our little kids sometimes are offered as many as 40 or 50.
Ooh.
And I had advantages that they didn't have, and I got terminal cancer.
Right. So
it just shows you how fast things degenerated. And the foods that I could buy in a convenience store when I was a kid, big Coca-Cola, bag of chips, and some chocolate every day after school. Well, that begins to take a toll.
Absolutely.
But if kids would connect what they're doing today with the person they could become tomorrow, find out what interests them. You want to be a musician? What? Guitar? Okay. What if you could buy a $10,000 guitar? It would be wholly different than the one you're playing now. Well, the only way you can do that is to succeed today and do it again and again and again and again and again.
And do
the right thing consistently.
Better next time.
And you'll get that guitar.
Yep.
That's where my shift is coming from.
Nice. I used to tell my kids and grandkids, here's how you not do it. Pay attention to these people who are doing it the wrong way. Let's learn from their mistakes and then not make our own. It's a crazy world, isn't it?
Wasn't it King Solomon that said, I looked at the wall and the bricks were falling down and I learned what not to do.
I learned what not to do.
Yeah, there it is. There's a lesson in there, even though you think the wall looks crappy.
I have had an absolutely interesting conversation today, and I appreciate your time. I'm segueing to pull the pin because we gotta pull this off 29 into this one. Any last thoughts? Would you like to plug your book?
Well, just go to RNC Store, like Rick, Nancy, Charlie, store.com, and find the magnifying glass and type Rick. And you're going to give them, not for you, but for them, a 10% discount. And I would say kudos to Tim Hutton, because you are part of the solution today, not part of the problem. And if there are more of you, an army of you, we'll turn the tide.
I consider myself just an observer because you guys are the story. You guys are absolutely the story. I'm just here to report it, to read it, to listen to it. So you've lived it, and I get the privilege of sitting here in my studio, in my underground bunker, which is kind of a cool studio, and just listen to these stories. Where else can you sit down and talk to them for an hour and go, man,
yeah,
I've lived a life on radio that you can't live back.
Yeah. Yeah, it's changed. Well, anyway, appreciate you, and thank you for inviting me. And I'm glad that I was here, and good on both of us.
Yes, I'm very much thankful. Hudcast is going to drop this episode tomorrow morning early. When you check it out, it'll be available in all the countries and all your podcast stations. We're on every one, and some that I don't even know about. And if you want to reach out to him and hit that search engine on his site, please do. And give him some muscle to make this work in his life. But for Hutcast, thank you very much for coming on. Thank you, everybody else, for listening. And until next time, I know I've been off a little bit. It's been kind of a busy summer for us. And we want to just thank you for being good listeners. I'm watching my downloads. You guys are rocking it again. And we'll be back. So thank you again. Stand by.
And that's a wrap for Hutcast. Hutcast is, again, a pragmatic approach to seeing things how some people see them. If you like our show, give us a thumbs up on the Facebook site. Again, for Hutcast, thank you again. Have a wonderful evening.